Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to talk about stoves, and we're going to talk about gas versus wood stoves, pros, cons. I released a video a little bit ago, a couple weeks ago, about my 3 favorite backpacking items, and in that video I talked about my Tokes pot, and I mentioned that it was my favorite because it holds my stove inside. But I was boiling water for some coffee or oatmeal or something at the time, and I wasn't able to show you how all that worked together. So I thought I would take a minute to show you how all that fits together, and then talk about some of these stoves and why I like them, the pros and cons. So this is my Tokes pot. Comes with a mesh. It has a bail handle, 750 milliliter, has a lid, and inside is my stove and the gas. So you can see it fits in there nicely, and with the mesh stuff sack, put it upside down and it all holds it in there, so it's makes safe space on the trips, pretty light, not that heavy. So here it is, comes out, has these little feet that can be either set in or extended out depending on the size of the pot you're using, and then this just screws on really nicely to the tank of gas. I prefer using the jet boil gas myself. It works really well. And there you go, pretty easy. This is all ready to go. All I have to do is this thing has worked great for me for a very long time. I've had it for a long time. This particular brand is E-Tech City. This is a great starter stove for someone who's just getting into backpacking. 10 bucks, camping, hiking, whatever. 10 bucks for this thing. It's not too expensive. The fuel you can get at a lot of different places. You can get that on Amazon as well. You can get bigger canisters, you know, depending on the size of your trip or whatever you like, or your pot, if it will fit in there or whatever. So this is a really good option, in my opinion, for someone who's just getting out, just starting out and backpacking, hiking, that kind of stuff, because it's relatively cheap. You can test it out, see if you like it, if it fits your needs, if it works well for you. Some of the pros to this is that it's really fast, easy setup, like you saw. It's really quick to heat up water. It doesn't take a whole lot of it doesn't take a whole lot of fuel to heat up that water. It's nice and compact. It can all fit into maybe your water pot or whatever it is you might have, so it's very compactable. It can nest into stuff very easily. Very portable. It's very versatile, can work in all kinds of situations, conditions. There are some cons to it though, and that's that in high wind, unless you have some way of blocking the wind, the high wind could keep it from, it could take much longer, or even put the flame out, depending on how bad the wind is. And then depending on how cold it is as well, the gas may not work so well. So, you know, depending on where you're going or what you're doing, this may not be an option for you, depending on some of those factors with wind and cold. Other than that, it's pretty versatile and works pretty well. I would say that this particular setup, cooking setup, stove, I take with me probably 95% of the time. You know, maybe 90% of the time. If I'm not taking this, then we're probably cooking over an open campfire. I don't use wood stoves too much anymore, to be honest. This is generally what I take for most trips. When it comes to wood stoves, you have different options. This is a really flat one. It's nice, it's very compactable. Again, you can throw this in your pack. It folds out, as you can see here, and it all kind of folds in together, and then this ends up making your stove, your burner. Put your wood in here, whatever it is you might need, and then you can burn everything up on top of here. This does block the wind a lot better than the gas stove, as you saw. It has these nice little plates, gives it airflow as well. So this is not bad. I don't know what the cost of this one is. This is my brother's, but I do like his stove a lot, and it is very light compared to the one I have, which, let me show you that one. This one also has a stuff sack, mesh bag. And while this one may not be as compactable or as light as the flat one I just showed you, I do particularly like this one. But it is a little bit bigger, so Okay, so this is for like liquid fuel or maybe some fuel tablets. You would put them in there, and then you would set this inside of here like that to get your fire going with that tablet or liquid fuel if you needed it. I've never used this, never needed it. Here are the legs for this one. Instead of 4 like the gas stove, it has 3. Instead of like a little plate like you'd find on a stove, like that compactable one, it just has 3 that fold out, but they're sturdy and will fit most pots. It does have a cutout for you to put the sticks in, so when the pot's on, you can then put the sticks in. Put the sticks in like that. It also has a windbreak, so you're not going to have to worry about the wind putting this one out. And on the inside here, it has vents. If you can see these, there's a hole inside there that allows the air to come up, so it does help to feed the fire with oxygen. It even has this nice little recess where all the ashes can fall down. What I like to do is take leaves and just shove them up in here, a whole bunch of them, and then you just light the leaves on fire through the holes, and then that will light your sticks on fire up through the top, so it makes it really easy to start. Pros to the wood stove is that if you're camping in a wooded area, you're not really going to run out of fuel. As long as you have wood available, you have fuel, and you can just break up some twigs, sticks. I mean, if you've been in the woods, you know there's usually fuel laying around just anywhere. Plenty of little sticks and twigs and stuff that fall off trees that you can use for the fire. It doesn't take much to get them going, and once they get going, they're pretty easy to keep going just by continuously feeding them logs. It does get pretty hot, again, depending on the woods you use. If you use some good solid twigs, you're going to get a pretty hot fire. Some of the cons to it is that like if you have the model like mine, this one here, it is a little bit more hardy, a little bit bigger, can take up a little bit more space. If you have a model like this, then it can easily slide into your backpack or whatever you might have, and can be put away. The one big drawback to them is that they take a lot longer to cool down. The wood stoves do take a lot longer to cool down than this guy here, than these gas stoves do. So once you cook on it, you then have to wait for it to cool down before you can pack it away, which really isn't a huge problem. But if you're trying to eat real quickly and get going pretty fast, then you know that's something to take in consideration. The one I have is much thicker with the metal parts. You know, the stove itself, the metal is pretty thick and it retains heat pretty well, so that does take a while to cool down, whereas this other one here, this one does not take nearly as long to cool down after you've used it. So those are some of the considerations, right? Is how fastly do you want to be able to put it back away once you've used it, and that's going to really depend on how much heat it retains. But you're not really worried, you don't really have to worry too much about elevation, in the sense that the gas won't have an issue because of elevation. You may have issue with finding a source of wood for it at high elevations, but you also don't have to worry about it being too cold, because the wood will burn as long as the wood burns. Cold won't have that effect on it. And then you don't have to worry about the wind with these, because generally these things have wind protection from the wind built in. So the wind's usually not a big factor like it is with some of these gas stoves where they don't have a built-in wind protector.